Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'd like to reintroduce myself because it's been a while since I've done a video. My name is Topher and this is the Cincinnati Kids Vintage Cards. And today I would just like to share some cards from my collection for you. Would that be alright? Today's topic, cards that make me happy. So in the opening segment, we saw some nice cards of some really great players doing one of my favorite things I love to see on a baseball, football, or hockey card, the smile. Smiling away, enjoying their day, look like they really love the game, just love to be there. And I'm going through a bit of a transition with my collecting, and as a result, I've just not been that much in the mood to do videos and not really sure how to go forth with videos at this point. But I came to unilateral decision that I must do some videos, and it's been just too long. So with no further ado, I'm just going to share some cards from the collecting direction I seem to be going in, and some things more that I'm going to share as time goes on, but not necessarily in this video, of where my collecting direction is going. So first off, I'm going to share this lovely George Brett. You know, it's 80s tops. Nothing rare about it, but I just thought this was a beautiful card that I picked up for no other reason than it was the first time I had watched an episode of Bargain Hunters, with Vintage on Vintage Steve and John from John P. Collects. It is a collaboration of these two guys that they do once a month, every 2 months, on Hall of Fame players and some non-Hall of Fame players too. They did one early on with Vada Pinson, but this is the one I think I watched the second and wanted to be ready because they invited us to play along at home and buy a card of the particular Hall of Famer, which this day was George Brett, for that episode within a certain price range. I think it was maybe under $15. $15 or under. They had spun on the wheel from the previous episode. I found this and sent them a message to say, hey, I played along and this is what I picked up. And it ended up getting me onto the show, which I debuted with the Sandy Koufax episode. But anyway, check them out. It goes up on Vintage Steve's regular channel. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I can't remember which player it is, but that's a fun card for me. And it has a story to it that I always will be attached to. I'm not a huge George Brett collector, but he's a great player. And I just feel honored I was able to see him play in person once. Actually got to go to a White Sox Royals game way back, too far from where I'd like to admit. So let's go on to the next one. And this was a 2024 national pickup, which was my very first national I ever attended in Cleveland, and it was this. This was the first Mickey Mantle card that I found and added to my collection after I got back into collecting, which was like around 2021-ish, 22, sort of right after the boom had crashed. And I just happened to be reading an article while taking a break from work from home, I guess during lunch hour, about the frenzy of card collecting and how these wonderful pieces of cardboard were starting to become valuable. And Of course, the one that was featured the most was this player, not this card, but his 52 Topps. First year Topps card, which the article went on, blah, 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 about how it was one of the most iconic cards of the collecting hobby, how he's the hobby king, which I still agree with, even though there are some players rightfully, like Jackie Robinson, that are catching up quickly. I didn't miss the boat on this one, and I'm so glad I picked this one up. Same show. I found this card raw, along with a lot of other, mostly 50 Bowman football cards. This is a 51 Bowman of Tony Canadeo, which is just a beautiful card. I mean, look at that color. And the tree with the fall leaves. Just makes you ready for football, doesn't it? Which is coming up soon. Preseason NFL has started. And I sent it to SGC and was very happy with the outcome on it. Here's another one I did not get at the National, but I picked off of eBay for next to nothing raw. I would guess $20 to $25 all in. This was a few years ago. I think I bought this in like 2022. Then sent it to SGC. '52 Bowman Gil Hodges. And I think this is really what I'm finding is the most fun for me in the hobby. The stories are great. He's been my home state hero. I guess I would call it a hodgepodge collection, no pun intended. And this is what I find the most fun, finding these cards raw, getting them graded, and if it comes back collector grade, great, but more times than not, I've been happy with the result, no matter what the grade is. Only a couple times have I not been, but I don't think ever with an SGC slab that I've had graded have I ever been concerned or worried about what the grade was. In fact, I thought a couple times they've been just way too generous. Here's one I think was pretty spot on. This is just beautiful. The 59 Musial wraps out 3,000th hit. Found this in the discount box at my local card shop. And that's another thing. The most fun for me, and I have no problem, because a lot of people cannot get to a local card shop, cannot get to a card show regularly. There just aren't any around, or maybe are unable to make it to a national or a large show like that, or something like Strongsville, or the Philadelphia show, or the Dallas show, Chicago Sports Spectacular, the Midwest Monster. I get it. And eBay is the best route, or other online electronic means to get cards, but it's not for me. And what I've learned is eBay can be addicting. And if you're not shutting off your videos now, thank you for shutting off this episode. I appreciate it. And thank you. To me, the most fun is going on the hunt like this. It becomes a little too easy, even though there's so many cards I want or wanted, to go to eBay and all the work's been done. And this is just a beautiful card of a great player, the umpire in the background, the catcher, who I don't know who that catcher is. Could probably look it up and find out what it was that day. I'm sure it says what the team was back here on the back. May 13th, 1958. Well, anyway, this is starting to get long. I don't want this to go too long. So let's move Mr. Brett. We'll put Stan the Man there. Now here is one that came off of eBay that I absolutely saw and just jumped on it. So another Bowman. This is the 52 Bowman small football. The large is apparently the one that is more desirable and more expensive. But I have wanted, and the small is just fine with me. I have wanted this Chuck Connolly card, Chucking Chuck Connolly. Chucking Charlie Connolly, sorry, who for many years, not until this young QB that's come on for them now, Dart, Jackson Dart, has broke a lot of his rookie records. Rookie records that stood for the New York Giants franchise through many eras of great quarterback play. Stood up through Phil Simms' era. Phil Simms' rookie numbers were not as good in a lot of categories as this guy's. Eli Manning's numbers were not as good, didn't break any of Charlie Connolly's rookie year records. You're talking about a guy that came on in the late 40s. And he's still not in the Hall of Fame. He was on the ballot this year, again, and not in the Hall of Fame. Don't understand it. And he's just a cool dude. He was the Marlboro Man for a while. I don't condone smoking necessarily, but you can't admit he had rugged good looks too to go with that talent. It's just a beautiful card. The blue sky, the ball back, concentrating on throwing it downfield. It's almost like there's a little mini one of him right there in the Giants logo. Charlie Connolly. We'll leave Mickey up there a little longer. Okay. Down to just a couple more. So this is a player that has become, we're back to baseball now. This is a player that has really started to heat up all their cards, a lot of their inserts, the early refractors, and of course the rookie cards have just started ballooning in value. This one not particularly, and certainly not in the grade it came back in, but I was really trying to shoot. Saw it in the bargain bin again, picked it up for a couple of bucks. It's 87 Donruss Barry Bonds. I used to have a copy of this card that I gave to a dear friend of mine who attended Arizona State the same time that his guy here, Barry Bonds, was there. And he loves Barry Bonds. He's not much of a baseball watcher, but he appreciates that they were at Arizona State at the same time. They didn't know each other. There's no connection there other than they went to the same school at the same time. But I've always liked this one. I've liked, of course, the 86 Topps Traded rookie card of his. But the tough black border, wanted to try. Oh, I bumped my camera. And you know, I was going to try for the 9. Didn't quite make it, but that's just okay with me. It really isn't about the grade on this, other than it's just a beautiful card encased in my Pittsburgh side collection. He'll sit proudly with his other rookie and the Jaromir Jagr rookie I had graded. I found out the same LCS bin, bargain bin. We'll set him down here. Kind of see him still. All right. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, Vintage on Vintage Steve. Sorry, I get him confused sometimes with Vintage Card Steve because their names are very similar. Another great channel, and I'm going to shout him out. But this time it was Vintage on Vintage Steve. Sent me an amazing gift about a month ago, right around the last time I did my last video, and I was just blown away by his generosity. And he knew I love this player, and he knows I love this set. And so I'm going to set up a background for you on this set first, and I'll be right back with that. So Steve and I share a love of vintage basketball cards. For me, it's pretty obvious. I live in a state where basketball has been king for quite a long time. Maybe it's being supplanted by football now. I'm really not dead certain that's the case, but it sure didn't hurt that the state school won the NCAA men's football national championship this year, and won it the toughest way, going through a deep tournament. They played 4 games, three different bowl games, 4 games. So it ended up being Rose Bowl champ, Orange Bowl champ, another champ as well, along with national champ. We'll go back to basketball here. Growing up, basketball absolutely was king in this state, and maybe for Steve too. Even though he was west in California growing up, the Lakers were there clearly. And when I say Lakers, I've been kind of working on this set a little bit, and it is, I think, one of Steve's favorites too, the 72-73 Topps basketball set. Love the colors, love the zoom larger name. The name gets bigger as it goes up along the bottom of the card. I guess they call that hill climb font. I don't know. Anyhow. But there was one card that I've talked about in the past, and he knew that he must have known this card because I was just blown away and would send it to you no further ado. It is Mr. Jerry West. Zeke from Cabin Creek now resides in the Cincinnati Kids collection. And I don't know how to thank him enough. And I'm sorry it took so long for me to get a video out with this in here featured. But I want to acknowledge Steve, Vintage on Vintage Steve. His generosity here just simply blows me away. It's the perfect grade, 4, number 44. I'll do a little bit more explaining here. I guess I should put that up a bit. I'm going to walk Jerry Sloan. The basketball here is incredibly deep. Sorry, John McLaughlin. John McLaughlin, I'll just go through and briefly talk about these players. So obviously the hometown Pacers, Mel Daniels attended New Mexico State, the Lobos, or is it New Mexico Lobos? I can never quite get those two straight. I apologize to the state of New Mexico. I should know that. Was a dominant center, power forward for the Pacers during their ABA glory days when they were winning championships regularly. And I used to participate through my work with a sort of Stratomatic computerized basketball type league. And in fact, one of the guys designed an entirely new game until I just didn't have the time to play it anymore. And they loaded in vintage players, and all of these players were available, and they would mix with the modern players. And as time went on, we seemed to get more modern players and less of the older guys, and I didn't like that as much. The next guy is Jerry Sloan, who most of you may realize later on in his career was one of the most winningest coaches in NBA history. He coached the Utah Jazz for many, many years when they had Stockton Malone. But he was also a great player in his own right, an incredible defender. He also attended the University of Evansville, which is in that home state of mine. And there is a bit of a personal connection here I'm not going to really share, but one of his family members, I'm not going to go too much deeper than that, has attended my church in the past. I think they still do. And that's just really neat. You're just kind of 1 degree of separation there. Although I've never gone up to say, hey, you're Jerry Sloan's so-and-so. I'm like, no. Jerry West was absolutely one of the most dominating shooting guards. He is known as the logo because the NBA logo, the guy dribbling is him. And then John McLaughlin, who attended Indiana University and then played on those championship teams with the Bucks. So that's just an amazing, just simply blown away by the generosity. But it didn't end there. Steve also included several more cards. He knows what I like. 79 Johnny Bench, really nice shape. 79 Joe Morgan, both were NL All-Stars that year. I have never had this card before. Yogi Berra, 74 Mets manager with former Red Roy McMillan. Also Eddie Yost on that bench. Rube Walker, Joe Pignatano. Amazing bench. Wow, bench coaches. He also knows I like Will Clark. 86. This is 86 Topps rookie card. I had the 87 also. More Johnny Bench. 73 Joe Morgan. I don't have this card yet for my Joe Morgan run. 74 rookie card of Ken Griffey. '74 Tony Perez. And then two of my favorite players in this era, side by side, as they were just offensive beasts. This is 79 Topps for 78 runs batted in, AL and NL, George Foster and Jim Rice. And I should have shown the Foster rookie tonight, but I forgot to pull it out. And let's go with home run leaders. Once again, Jim Rice and George Foster. The 78 Topps of both of those players are some of my favorite. Here's 79 Tom Seaver. One of his strongest cards, I feel like, as a Red. Although I never saw him really pitch. I wasn't going to games that point in the early 80s, really, or late 70s. To me, he's always known as a Met. Here's an 87 of Davey Concepcion. And I think that's Herm Winningham from the 1990 World Champion Reds. Yes, it happened. Maybe he just tagged out. There's a tombstone Barry Larkin with his red high tops. So cool. That era, just everything was just cool about this guy. Here's the tombstone 95. Of course, 95 was his MVP year when he was a 30-30 guy. When they needed him hit with power, he would do it. When they needed him to hit singles, he'd do it. Barry Larkin is just the consummate pro's pro. Here's another George Foster, 79 All-Star, or yes, NL All-Star also. Getting pretty good on 79 Topps now. This is I love the stands in the back there. Maybe it's a spring training game. And then Bittersweet Pete. Another NL All-Star, 79 Topps. He actually, I think, was with the Expos, or the Phillies at this point. He'd signed with the Phillies, even though his 79 Topps card came out with the Cincinnati uniform still on. So that wraps it up. This has been a long one. If you're still watching, I certainly appreciate you. And until next time, be safe at home, everyone.